They call it the motherland, a country so vast it stretches across 11 time zones, a land that wakes up in Asia and goes to sleep in Europe. But beyond its sheer size lies a mystery, a paradox that has both fascinated and terrified the world for centuries. Russia, a nation of poets and soldiers of icy tundras and fiery revolutions, a place where wealth and power coexist with hardship and silence. And behind the headlines, behind the politics, are truths few dare to tell. Today we journey deep into the heart of the Russian enigma, from secret cities and billion-dollar bunkers to forests that hide radioactive ghosts, and a society shaped by both ambition and fear. This is Unbelievable Facts About Russia. And by the end of this story, you'll see why no nation on earth is quite like this one. Russia is not just a country, it's a continent disguised as one, covering more than 17 million square kilometers. It's larger than Pluto and stretches from the icy Arctic Ocean in the north to the deserts near Mongolia in the south. But geography is more than trivia here, it's destiny. The Russian people were shaped by their environment, vast distances, brutal winters, and natural barriers that both protected and isolated them. In the 1200s, Mongol armies swept across the steppes, burning cities, enslaving populations, and forcing princes to pay tribute. For 2 centuries, Russia was ruled by foreign invaders. It taught them one lesson: survival means strength. When the Mongols fell, Moscow rose. Under Ivan the Terrible, Russia became an empire built on fear, and its expansion would never stop. From Siberia to the Pacific, Russian explorers pushed eastward, sometimes with swords, sometimes with science. By the 18th century, under Peter the Great, Russia transformed into a European superpower, one foot in the east, one in the west. But with every empire comes contradiction. Behind the glittering palaces of St. Petersburg, millions of peasants lived in poverty, bound to the land like medieval serfs. A pattern that still echoes through Russian society today. Power concentrated at the top, resilience at the bottom. By the 1800s, Russia was a paradox of progress and repression. While Europe industrialized, Russia clung to tradition. Its czars ruled as absolute monarchs, but the seeds of revolution were quietly being planted. Writers like Dostoevsky and Tolstoy captured the soul of the Russian people, brilliant, tragic, and endlessly enduring. And then came 1917, the empire collapsed, the Bolsheviks seized power, and the world changed forever. The Russian Revolution wasn't just political, it was a social earthquake. An entire ruling class was wiped away overnight. Churches became factories, aristocrats became enemies, and the hammer and sickle became symbols of a new world. But this new world came with a price. Under Joseph Stalin, progress was built on fear. Millions were executed or sent to gulags. Entire regions starved under forced collectivization. Yet in the midst of this terror, Russia became something no one expected, a modern industrial superpower. By the time World War II began, the Soviet Union was ready to fight not just for survival, but for domination. Ask any Russian what defines their nation, and they will tell you the Great Patriotic War. World War II left an open wound in Russia's identity. More than 27 million Soviets died, soldiers, civilians, children. Entire cities like Stalingrad and Leningrad became symbols of unbreakable will. The victory over Nazi Germany wasn't just a military triumph, it was a rebirth. To this day, Russia celebrates Victory Day, with tanks rolling through Red Square, a reminder that survival itself is victory. But victory brought another battle, a new, colder war. As the Soviet Union rose from the ashes of World War II, it faced a new enemy, the United States. The Cold War was not fought with bullets, but with spies, rockets, and propaganda. Behind the Iron Curtain, Russia became a land of secrecy. Entire closed cities appeared on no maps, built for nuclear research, guarded by silence. The Soviets launched the first man into space, Yuri Gagarin, proving that Russian science could rival the West. But while the world saw power and progress inside the USSR, cracks were forming. The Soviet economy was collapsing under its own weight. Censorship stifled creativity, and the people grew weary of promises that never came true. By 1991, the empire that once terrified the world was gone. When the Soviet Union fell, Russians woke up in a new world, one without guarantees. The 1990s were brutal. Factories closed, savings evaporated, and organized crime filled the power vacuum. A handful of men, the oligarchs, seized control of entire industries overnight. Oil, gas, metals, media, all privatized in a feeding frenzy. Moscow became a playground for billionaires, while millions struggled to afford bread. Then in 1999, a quiet man from the KGB stepped forward. Vladimir Putin. He promised order. He delivered control. Under Putin, Russia was rebuilt, not as a democracy, but as a fortress. The economy boomed with oil wealth, the military was modernized, and the state reasserted its power at home and abroad. Moscow's skyline rose with glass towers. but so did surveillance cameras and censorship laws. Meanwhile, Russia's reach extended from Crimea to Syria, from Africa to the Arctic. Yet, for all its might, Russia remains haunted by history, by geography, by isolation. It's a country obsessed with control and terrified of collapse. Here are some of the unbelievable facts about Russia, yes, that reveal just how unique and misunderstood this nation truly is. Russia produces 20% of the world's natural gas, more than any other country. It owns more nuclear warheads than the United States. It has the world's longest railway, the Trans-Siberian, stretching nearly 6,000 miles. Moscow's subway stations are designed like palaces, chandeliers, marble walls, and mosaics celebrating Soviet victories. There's a lake in Siberia, Lake Baikal, that holds 20% of the planet's fresh water. And yes, there are secret underground bunkers beneath Moscow, large enough to house 200,000 people in case of nuclear war. But beyond the numbers, the most unbelievable fact is this: Russia has been invaded dozens of times, by Mongols, by Napoleon, by Hitler, and yet it has never truly fallen. It bends but never breaks. Today, as Russia faces new economic sanctions, a global isolation and internal unrest, its resilience is once again being tested. Can a system built on power and paranoia survive in a world of transparency and technology? No one knows. But one thing is certain: Russia will always play by its own rules. It's a country that refuses to be understood, because understanding it means facing the complexity of power, history, and survival itself. So the next time you see Russia on the news, remember, it's not just politics, it's centuries of struggle, pride, and endurance. From Tsars to hackers, from poets to soldiers, the Russian story is one of contradiction and of unbelievable resilience. And maybe that's what makes it so fascinating, because in the end, Russia isn't just a country, it's an idea that refuses to die. This was Unbelievable Facts About Russia. If you found this story eye-opening, don't forget to subscribe, because the world is full of stories hiding in plain sight, and we're just getting started.